I'm back. Oh man, what a great trip. It was so good to be up in the Wind River Mountains. I actually posted that video, I think last night, but I couldn't upload it. So it was a few days ago that I did that video and got back last night. It was awesome. So one cool thing that happened, I caught a few big, and I took pictures. Maybe I'll try to post them on my YouTube there. But I took some selfies of a couple of, well, maybe 3 or 4 of these brookies I caught. They were big fish. And I have proof. But one of the fish, I was fishing at the inlet of this lake called Donald Lake. And so it's at the Big Sandy opening. Instead of going up Big Sandy Creek, up to Big Sandy Lake, you head basically straight north and you can come to Dad's Lake, but this Donald's Lake is up higher and east of Dad's Lake. And it's just kind of there by itself, but you can hike up to the top of the, what would be the Continental Divide. You can look down into the Cirque, you can, and the Lonesome Lake area, you can, and that's where Sonny and I were up towards that way when I did the video. We made it up. It's steep. It is steep and so cool. There's a little, it's called a pica. You can look it up. Fremont named him the Siberian squirrel when he first saw him when Fremont came to that area. But they're the cutest little things, little tiny ears. And they'll spend all summer just gathering, you know, flowers and grasses and everything for hibernation for the winter. And they don't actually, well, they do hibernate in a sense, kind of like a bear, they don't just like fall asleep, because a bear doesn't do like a true hibernation in a sense, but they'll wake up occasionally here and there, but typically, you know, they're just, everything just kind of quiets down. And speaking of bear, so the inlet, fishing out in the lake, and this, I've taken my fly pole and stuff, but this time it was just a little tiny spinning rod for backpacking. So I was using a fly in a bubble, and I use it's what's called a triple renegade, at least that's what I call it. And, you know, I was catching these big fish. Well, I had one on, getting close to the shore, and Sonny started barking, and he hadn't barked at all the whole time. He's not a big barker. And he's looking right across from, so we're on one side of the inlet. On the other side was a black bear just staring at us. I think what happened was, you know, when you're by yourself or just your dog, you're not doing a lot of talking. So weren't making a lot of noise. The ground's very wet and marshy-ish around there. And I think the bear heard the splashing of the fish. And he came and he saw, and then Sonny barked and that bear took off away from us, which I was glad. I would say it was a medium-sized black bear. I've seen a lot of bear, hunted bear, observed bears, and I would classify this as a medium to smaller size. Don't know if it was male or female, but definitely a black bear. And it was pretty exciting, you know, like, whoa, that's pretty cool. So that was fun. Not a ton of people this time of year because of the mosquitoes. Usually you'll start seeing a lot of people going into the Wind Rivers in August, particularly like second week in August, and it's just packed with people. So if you want to avoid people and get cozy with mosquitoes, July's a good month, and you will get eaten alive. So be prepared. Take some good bug spray. I did, first time I've worn a mosquito net in years and years and years up there, because I usually would go in August. But the fishing was good. Didn't do a lot, but enough to catch some big fish. I didn't keep any, threw them all back. Didn't really have a way to cook them. I went super light. I wanted to show you a couple of things. First off, you guys, if you haven't tried this Cardio Miracle, I know I talk about it a lot, but I took several of these little single serves, and I also took a baggie with a little scoop, because I just wanted to make sure I had plenty of Cardio Miracle. I believe in it. It's awesome. I had the energy, the strength, and I think, you know, you can go on their website and see the science behind the ingredients that create nitric oxide, and how it opens up everything and gets the oxygen and, you know, flowing into the blood. The recovery is amazing. I'm getting old. I have issues, but sleeping on the ground, no problem. And a one-man tent, I mean a one-man tent, very lightweight, and it's me and Sonny. And you know what? He was an angel. He slept through the night. Well, for the most part. Occasionally, older people and dogs have to go out and take care of business in the middle of the night, sometimes more than once. Anyway, we don't need to get into that. A couple of things I just wanted to show you that really make camping and backpacking. This is Jetboil. I'm not trying to sell anything. I'm just telling you, I love this. It has the cup measuring. So everything kind of fits inside. So you have your canister inside. There, I should pull it out. And then this is just kind of a little stand to steady it. And then this is the burner. So this screws on here. Take this cap off. Here, this screws on. And then I have a little stand for it. I didn't have that here. Looks like I need to wash that. And anyway, and then this fits on here like that. And it has its own push start, so you don't need to match, kind of like a gas barbecue grill. You know, you just push a button, boom. And in a minute, 2 minutes, at tops, all this is boiling water. And then on this trip, I used Mountain House. It was just simple. I had some dinners. That's all I had for Mountain House was dinners. And we have our own freeze dryer, but I haven't quite figured out how to do meals and everything. It's just as easy for me to just go buy some Mountain House. Now, I did take some freeze dried cherries that were so good. I have a trail mix. I'm not a big trail mix fan. I don't like it that much. I'm sure there's better kind, but lunch, I didn't really eat a lot of lunch, but I pounded a whole package. Says 2 servings. That was my big meal. For breakfast, I like just oatmeal, and I use instant oatmeal. I know the ingredients aren't that great, but it's easy. A little bit of hot water, stir it, and you can pound it down. And I love oatmeal that way. So I just use Quaker Oats, I think it was, instant oatmeal, you know, like peaches and cream, stuff like that. And then I'd add those freeze-dried cherries to it. Oh, gosh, it was good. So I did have some jerky, some homemade, some goose jerky from geese this year. And then just some little packets that you can buy. Can't remember the brand, but you know, a little bit of jerky. And that's really all I take. But this Jetboil coat. Now, reason why I went to this, I used to have little stoves and things, but then you got to have pots, and you got to have this, and you got to have that, which I have, and I still have them. The other thing I like to do is, if I know I can build a fire, there are these little stoves that you just put some twigs in there, and you can cook and heat, and they're really handy. You can just Google those, like lightweight. Let's see, how could you Google it? Wood burning lightweight stoves or something like that on Amazon. and they're not very expensive. They're usually made out of stainless steel. Or you can get them with titanium. They're a lot more expensive, but they're lightweight. I have one that's bigger, not really for backpacking, and I use it. I've cooked up some great meals with that, just using some twigs, you know, for the flame. But the Wind Rivers, I knew I was going to be able to build a fire for the most part, but every once in a while you get surprised, and sometimes they'll say no fires. So backpacking, you gotta have these things, in my opinion. You know, I know there's some of you out there will say no, you don't need all that, but I like it in the event that you can't build a fire. And it's clean, it's quick, it's easy. So, and there's a lot of different attachments. You can get little fry pans, you can get all kinds of things. So, like I say, they're kind of cool. They all just fit in there together, and really, I think one of the better options out there. Okay, the other thing I got to show you that has been life-changing for me. Let me just see if I can show. Okay, it's the Helinox chair. And you can see the diagram there. I'm not going to unfold it, but very lightweight. And it's a camp chair that has a back to it. I find the older I get, the more it's nice to have something to rest your back and not be right on the ground. They're a little low, takes a little practice getting in and out of them. But I never go without this anymore. Sue and I have these, and when we went to Israel, we took these, and it was awesome because we would go to sites, which I'm going to talk about Shiloh. We would, when there was going to be a lecture or like Bible teaching at a particular spot, it might go for, you know, several minutes. And so, you know, you can just stand there, but several of us didn't have this brand, but, you know, different brand. This is a little spendy, but it'll hold up for a long time. And it's very lightweight and very compact. I know it looks big, but it's not. It's small. Okay. So that's cool. Helinox Chair Zero is what this one is. Okay. Love that. My newest acquisition, because I knew where I was going. It's a bit of a distance to get the good running drinking water. I haven't, you know, unless I'm drinking lake water, when I'm in the Wind Rivers, I haven't purified my water. And I know I'm taking risks there, but I know some really good sources. I've never had issues. But this little thing, 3 liters it'll hold. It compacts into this little bag. And this was so cool because I had a water bottle and then this, and I'd go fill them, and it would last me, you know, a long time. The water bottle I'd use for the Cardio Miracle. This I'd use for all my cooking and then to fill up the water bottle again. 3 liters. And it's handy. It has a little handle here, of course a handle here, and super compact, and really a good, and it's, let me see what the brand is here. Hydropack. I got that at Sportsman's, I think. Sportsman's Warehouse. You can get Jetboil anywhere. You can get them online. There's no deals. At least I haven't found. They're not cheap, but they're great. The other thing that I like is just this old tin cup I've had for ever and ever. This is what you eat my oatmeal and things like that out of. The Mountain House stuff, you just eat right out of the package. You just pour the water in it, and it has a, you know, like a Ziploc seal, and you seal it, let it kind of absorb all the water, and then you have a delicious meal in just a few minutes. really. And just delicious. Sorry. Okay, so there's that. All right, those are just a few of the items. I always have a nice knife. Oh, I gotta show you one other thing real quick. I have it in here. This here, I bought this a few years ago and I've used this a few times and I absolutely love it. There's all kinds of combinations. This is from Outdoor Edge of utensils, but this is Outdoor Edge. This thing is amazing. So you just slide that up and line it up, and then that pops out, and there's your fork, and it has, you know, some different, if you need to tighten some screws or something, it has a can opener or a bottle opener and a can opener there, which how often do we use stuff like that? Really nice spoon, and then check this out. And this has a locking blade. So you have your knife, your spoon, and your fork. And it's pretty good. I might put a little more of an edge on it, but it's pretty good. It wouldn't be a knife I would use for anything other than eating. Like I wouldn't be using it for cleaning a fish or anything. Or you could, but I wouldn't use it. But that is lightweight, just thin, very well designed, really cool. So that's my new go-to now. And I sometimes take this with me to, you know, even if it's just a, you know, not like a backpacking, but just out, you know, that's why I have it in here, because sometimes I'll just throw it in. I know, kind of stupid, but okay. So there's all that. One thing, this is really kind of random, but, you know, I gassed up in Big Piney, and I've been going up to the Wind Rivers since the 60s. And the last place we used to be able to get gas back in the 60s was either Kemmer and sometimes Big Piney, but Kemmer, Wyoming. Kemmer is how it's spelled, but the first J.C. Penney store in Kemmer. But I remember what the ordeal was, and there were, just outside of Big Piney, it was dirt road the rest of the way. Now it's paved, and even the oiled or graveled road, the dirt road, for miles is like, you can go 55, 60 miles an hour on it. It's kind of crazy. And there's oil industry around that, you know, so things have changed. But one thing I was thinking about, here's a question for you. How often do you check your oil on your vehicle? You know, I remember every time we gassed up, even, you know, my young married life and beyond. I mean, you know, every gas station, pop the hood, pull out the dipstick, get the rag, wipe it out, put it in, check it. I haven't checked oil. I don't even know if I would know how to open up the hood. It's just so funny to me how that's been one thing that's just totally changed. And I don't know if it was just my dad who taught me, you know, hey, always check your oil, son. And he always checked the oil. I remember on 33rd South in Salt Lake, up on the east side there where I grew up, kind of the mouth of Parley's Canyon, but on 33rd, there was Terry's Texaco. Terry, he was such a nice guy. And you'd pull in and you'd have the ding ding, you know, on the little rubber thing. And Terry would come out, you'd pop your hood, he would check your oil, wash your windows, and gas. And I remember gas at 20 something. I remember it was 20 something cents a gallon. And my mom would get, I think there was either gold stamps or S&H green stamps. And I can't remember which ones, but she'd have this booklet. And every fill up, she'd get these stamps, and she'd fill up these booklets, and we'd get, you know, our glasses, drinking water glasses, you know, stuff like that. Reminiscing. But checking oil, right? Does anybody, I filled up both cars. It's kind of a habit. Like, I want to make sure, you know, right now it's Saturday for me. And so both cars fill up with gas. Everything's filled up because the disasters are going to happen on the weekend. I always figure, I don't know. And so I was remembering this thought I had up in Big Piney of checking the oil, and I went to the gas station twice, and I never saw one person check their oil. And to me, that used to be like you always saw people pop their hood and check their oil, and that doesn't happen anymore. I guess it means that the cars aren't using oil, the motors, the engines, and they're pretty sweet. I have to say, I had a little Subaru Outback I took in. Usually I take a pickup truck, but I took a Subaru Outback into the Big Sandy opening. Loved it. It was great, a lot smoother. Okay, that's it for the camping. If you haven't turned it off by now, which I don't blame you, I wanted to talk a little bit about the ancient city of Shiloh, where the ark was for 369 years. Now, there's some cool things that have just happened. So Sue and I were in Shiloh, and it was either the end of October or the first part of November. Our trip ran that long, and I can't remember. I'd have to go back to my journal. But I think it was probably the first part of November of last year that we were in Shiloh. One of my favorite spots in all of Israel. It's in the Samaria region, and this awesome Jewish folks running a little store and the place there. But Shiloh is where the Ark of the Covenant was with the tabernacle for 369 years. 369 years. 369 years. So we think of the tabernacle as being this mobile and move it, you know, like we had the traveling tabernacle here in the Morgan Valley, and Sue and I helped with the setup and takedown. And just imagining that ark and being inside the tabernacle for 369 years in the ancient city of Shiloh. The archaeological evidence is pretty strong of right where the tabernacle would have been. It's been venerated. There's just so much evidence there in Shiloh. But listen to this. This is really cool. This is an article from Biblical Archaeology. Sorry. This is July 16th. So just this last week. Hundreds of visitors flocked to Shiloh in Samaria's region on Thursday to welcome a biblically pure red heifer. Now we know that there were several red heifers, 5 maybe, that came from Texas, shipped to an undisclosed area. Now the significance of this, I believe it's in Numbers. No, maybe Deuteronomy. I should know that. It might say this in this article. But the ashes of the red heifer are used in the ceremony in order to rebuild the temple and do the rituals that will happen in the temple. So the red heifer, and that would take place on the Mount of Olives, which is very interesting, right? And there have been 9, well, let's read this. Let's read this. This is good. The 22-month-old cow, which was brought to Israel, and I would say heifer, because a heifer is a female that hasn't had any calves, right? Okay. Which was brought to Israel from the United States, found a new home at the ancient Shiloh heritage site where the biblical tabernacle once stood. In the coming months, 2 more heifers will be transported to the town, and a center will open there dedicated to researching the phenomenon. The heifers will be kept in a fenced-off area, and visitors will not be able to touch the animals. They don't want any hanky-panky going on with these animals. The mysterious red heifer is first mentioned in the book of Numbers, okay? When God instructs Moses and Aaron to take a perfectly red, unblemished cow upon which no yoke was laid, this couldn't be used for labor, the animal is subsequently slaughtered and its ashes are used in a purification ritual. And this all has to do with the building of the third temple. The discovery of an entirely red such heifer is a rarity. Jewish sources state that only 9 were slaughtered in the period, get this, only 9 were slaughtered in the period from Moses to the destruction of the second temple in 70 AD. Okay, by the Romans. So 9 recorded, 9 heifers. According to the 12th century sage, I used to know how to pronounce this guy's name. Maimonides, the Messiah will offer the 10th red heifer. Wow. So many Orthodox Jews, especially those associated with the Temple Institute, are not only looking for the third temple to be built, but they're looking for the Messiah to return. And the 10th red heifer to be offered, or that will offer that, will be the Messiah. It's pretty cool. In keeping with biblical law, the heifer put on display in Shiloh is completely red and has never borne a yoke. This is exciting and exceptional event for the entire Jewish people, said ancient Shiloh CEO Kobi Mamo. We are already in touch with researchers and promoters around the world who are waiting to come here with large groups. We have returned to the site of the tabernacle in Shiloh and are bringing back the Jewish past for the future of our people. A lot of Jews look more to this than to any government helping them, or any, even religious leaders or anything else. This is their focus. The regional council head, Israel Gantz, called the cow's arrival a historic moment. The ancient Shiloh site is continuing to grow and develop, and the Red Heifer Center will attract more visitors, up to 1 million a year from Israel and around the world. He added, calling it good news for the Jewish world, for the scientists and the researchers, and for everyone. The Red Heifer arrived as part of the council's Binyamin Temple Conference, which started on Wednesday with a temple-era dinner. Man, I wish I could have been there. The conference continued on Thursday with lectures at Tel Shiloh, the center of Jewish life before the construction of the first temple in Jerusalem. So this would be prior to Solomon's temple. So just a little background, you had Eli, who was the high priest in Shiloh, and his sons were not good, and Eli was not the greatest. But from that group came Samuel. So you had Hannah, I think it's Hannah, who wanted a son, and she said, I'll dedicate this son if you'll give me a son. And so she turned her son over to Eli to become a priest or involved, which he did. Samuel became a prophet, and that was good. But Eli allowed the ark to be taken from Shiloh. Now it was returned with King David. The Philistines didn't like what it was doing to him, the ark, and so they sent it back with the cow on a cart, and it went right back to David. It's a miracle. So then after that, David had it, and then David wasn't able to build the temple, but his son Solomon, right? And so this was all prior to that. And for 369 years, this is where the ark was. Okay, I'll just finish this again. The conference continued on Thursday with lectures at Tel Shiloh, the center of Jewish life before the construction of the first temple in Jerusalem. Among other topics, speakers discussed the offering of the Passover sacrifice in modern times, the traditional grape varieties of the region, and urban and logistic planning in the vision of the future Jerusalem. Very cool. I don't know, I would say Shiloh's maybe 20 miles north of Jerusalem. I could be wrong on that. You'd have to check that. But very, very, very exciting events happening. Now, some would say in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, why would we care about what Jews are doing? Why would we care about red heifers? There's no longer going to be any animal sacrifice. And you really need, you don't need to do anything. I hate it when people say that, and here I did it. There's some great quotes from Joseph Smith saying that the sons of Levi will offer up, one more time, a sacrifice. I've quoted that in previous videos. This could be part of it. I don't know. I feel in here that it's very significant. I feel it's very, very, very important. I think when it comes to second coming events of Christ, I think the focal point will be Jerusalem, will be Israel. And so watching what takes place there, I believe, is critical. And so we watch it, and we watch what's going on there. And right now, there's so much unrest and crazy things going on in Israel with the government and with terrorism and all that. Back in Shechem, we had plans. We were all ready to go to Shechem, and a few days before, I think it's the Lion's Den, which is like an offshoot of Palestinian, extremist terrorists. They just lit it up in Shechem. Nablus is the modern city, but they shut it down. The IDF said, nope, can't go there. The IDF shut down Hebron as well. So gives me another reason to go back, try it again. But there was a Joseph's tomb, which is there in Shechem. More terrorist attacks just a couple of days ago, I think. So there you have it. Okay, now the last thing on Come Follow Me. We have this great, this is the Bible I took. It's different, a little smaller. I had this anyway. And these are all the places that we went on our last trip. And I had this to Israel, and I had this particular Bible just for that trip. So I have all these little stickies and notes. But this dream of Peter up on the roof of Simon the Tanner in the ancient city Joppa. I've talked about this a lot, but it's one of my favorite stories. And the vision is awesome. The setting, there's actually a place that says the home of Simon the Tanner, and you can go there. Now, I don't know if it's been venerated or really knows, but it's cool. And Joppa, an ancient port city, is just absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And we have, this is where Jonah tried to escape his calling and was swallowed up by a whale, a big fish in the Mediterranean. And there's some really cool stories all about that. The significance in the belly of the whale for 3 days, and just all kinds of things. And his name is Jonah, and Peter is son of Jonah, Simon Bar Jonah. So you just have all these connections, and Jonah taking the gospel to Nineveh, which were a Gentile nation, and then Peter getting that vision there in Joppa. You can feel it. You can feel that this is a significant area, and it's just gorgeous. It's just beautiful. So I visualize this, and then I think of the song. The version I like the most is James Taylor version of it. I think Carole King and somebody else wrote it, but Up on a Roof. Listen to the words. They're so cool. And I always, I remember studying this on our mission, when we presided on a mission, over a mission. And we had a zone conference, and I had an elder bring a speaker, and we, for zone conference, and I played Up on a Roof, and then I taught this. Never been there at that point, never had been there, but up on a roof, you have the stars at night, the city lights below, you go there to get away, to see things. This is what Peter did. He went up on the roof, and I don't know, see what you can find in that, the verses of that song, and maybe it will become part of the narrative here. Is that song written by I believe it was Carole King, but I think she co-wrote it with somebody, and I apologize, but it's a quick Google, and you guys will know, and you'll write it in there. I'm just going by memory, but taking the gospel to the whole world. Christ told him, he taught him that. He gave him the Great Commission, probably on Mount Erbal. But it took this vision, I think, for it really to sink in. And then they had to figure out all this stuff, well, you have to do all the Jewish stuff because we're all Jews, and this is the book of Acts. It's just all this kind of these apostles figuring out. I can just see Christ on the other side, resurrected being, going, oh, I could make it so much easier for these guys, but this is enjoyable watching them trying to figure it out, Anyway, Simon the Tanner, he must have been a good guy, and he must have had a nice place up on the roof for Peter to have that vision. And we are the benefactors of that vision because, in a sense, we're Gentiles. Now, we have blood. Many of us that are members of the church have the blood of Ephraim. I know not all, but many have. But we're part of the tribe. We're part of the tribe, and a lot of it is literal, through the loins of Joseph and Ephraim, through the blood, right? But we're from a Gentile nation, many of us, and so the gospel goes to everybody, and everybody receives the same blessing, even though the covenant, the Abrahamic covenant came through Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and then Jacob's 12 sons, the 12 patriarchs, as I think Luke calls them. So now it's Jew and Gentile. In Israel, if you're from the tribe of Benjamin or whatever, you're still considered a Jew. And we have this, I've mentioned this before, you have Nephi saying, we're Jews because we're from that area, even though his father was from Manasseh. I think Ishmael was too. I can't remember now. But anyway, so great reading, lots of stuff in Come Follow Me. Just find your favorite Come Follow Me and listen to them, or just study it on your own. But that was just one thing I thought was kind of cool. All right, that's it. Good to be back. So hot in Utah. It was nice being up high in the mountains. One night I had lightning, thunder, and you have these peaks around, and it's just, and then rain, and then hail. Now they were just like pea size, you know, tiny, but just bam, 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 bam. And poor Sonny in the tent. It wasn't room enough for two. It was for sleeping, but sitting or just, you know, it's not comfortable. So I just put on my rain gear. I have QU. It's a brand. I love it. It's light, very lightweight. Pants and jacket combo. That was fine. Stayed dry. I had a fire going. I was allowed a fire, and I had a nice fire. I had collected a lot of wood, so it was great. Just kind of sat there in my chair. Did a little reading, but mostly hiking. Mostly keeping Sonny on the move to keep the mosquitoes off him as much as possible. So that's good. One time my dad and I might have mentioned this before, but this is back in the 70s. And I had long hair. I know it's hard to imagine, but I had long hair. And my dad and I were going over, we were at the Circuit of the Towers, but we were on the Shadow Lake side, and we were crossing over Texas Pass, if you know where that is. And we were right on the pass. And a lightning storm came, and you could just feel the energy, you know. And I remember my dad just stared at me like, what the heck? And my hair was just straight up because of the static electricity from the lightning, just, you know, all over the place. I only had one time where I didn't get hit a direct hit, but I was guiding river trips for the Great Salt Lake Council, the Scouts, up in on the Snake River, the Teton Canoe Base, just outside of Jackson. And we did the Snake River 3-day trips or 2-day trips. It was awesome with canoes. And one time we had an electrical storm come through while we were on the river, and we're in aluminum canoes, and you know, I don't know. I don't understand electricity all that well, but it doesn't seem like that would be a great idea. So we got off, and just as we got off, bam, I remember a flash, and then I remember, you know, laying on the ground, and most of the group was just, we kind of got knocked out. It hit so close to us. We were all okay, but when it hit, I was standing, and the next thing I know, I was down on the ground, probably out for a few seconds. I don't know, but that's as close as I ever had to getting hit by lightning. So I don't know. Anyway, God bless. We'll talk to you very, very soon. Thank you for all your love and support. Love your comments. I know, like I was set up on top of the mountain, we have these disagreements and things. It's all good. It's all good. Most of them are not all that important, but interesting. And I'm all for exploring. I had one comment said, why do you cover these things? They don't matter at all to our, you know, eternal salvation. And I'm telling you that, you know, this jet boil has nothing to do with my eternal salvation, but I'll talk about it on the channel. I mean, you know, it's easy to just turn it off if you find it uninteresting, which, you know, I get it. God bless. Love y'all. Bye-bye.